What's up everyone, this is NyhlekDreams and we are back with another video, hopefully one that is helpful in answering a question that the community has been asking about since the hero rework came out, and that is if the crit builds are still viable on certain heroes. But before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you. We just hit 300 subs and we're sitting on that right now as I make this video, so I just want to thank you all for watching and showing your support, and I truly can't show enough appreciation for all the positivity and encouragement that you've been bringing to the channel. But we're going to go ahead and get into this and see if we can figure out what it is that's different about why the crits might have changed and why they would be different from now as opposed to prior to the hero rework. Now, for those of you that remember, before the hero rework came out, there were heroes with innate crit rating and crit damage in their passive perks that allowed them to get an edge in crit builds on weapons, and they would be able to perk a weapon towards a crit build and pull more damage than you normally would with a raw damage build because you were getting a reliable amount of crit chance inside of the build, and then the crit damage was just added bonus damage. But if we look in this loadout at the support team, which I looked through to try and recreate any of the builds that would have been available prior to the rework, we can see that none of the support builds here had anything to boost any of the crit rating, which is a big factor in crit builds because if you're not critting, you know that you're not doing your crit damage, so it really doesn't make it viable to do a crit build when you're not supporting it with any crit chance. And if we look up here in the commander slot at Shrapnel Headhunter, we can see that she was kind of just reworked to get a raw damage bonus and no crit rating there. And the way that you would swap her out if you were to choose something different is to go over here to Buckshot Raptor, but we can also see that he didn't have any crit rating as well. He was focused around the shotgun critical damage, and that doesn't actually boost your crit in the sense that you'll be able to hit the crits any more than you would. So as you can see, we're kind of struggling to support a crit build here because there's not any added crit rating from any support slots. And if we back out and we head over to the schematics, you can see that the majority of shotguns, when you pull up the stats, they don't have a high crit chance. This here is a 38% crit chance, and that's with 30 crit rating added from a max legendary perk roll. That means that the base here would have been a 10% crit chance. But on some of your shotguns like the Dragoon and the Stalwart Squire, you would be able to see that they're sitting at a 43% crit chance with one crit rating maxed out, and that's because they were sitting at a base 15. So that means that they do have a little bit more potential in terms of most other shotguns. However, some of the shotguns that people used to use like the Room Sweeper and the Tiger Jaw are falling under because they're not able to access the crit rating that they once used to have since adjustable choke was taken out of the support slot. And this goes for a lot of pistol builds as well. While the pistols that were good enough to use usually had a base 15% crit chance, so they're not suffering as much as shotguns are, they're not hitting what they used to in the sense that they're still losing out on the crit rating from Eagle Eye that they used to have in the passive perk on Ranger, as well as the one from Field Agent Rio being in the support slot. So this has been confusing people lately, as in they're wondering if they should really go into crit builds anymore since they're not having as much potential as they used to with being able to reliably hit crits and being able to hit as much damage as they can with trying to factor in switching up things to make the crit chance work out. But in all honesty, there is a way to somewhat recreate the builds that were available to us prior to the hero rework. However, I can't really recommend doing it right now as that would require you to switch around your weapons, and that kind of ties into the question, are crit builds still viable and are they worth trying to run? And if you were to ask my opinion, I would say yes, there is a way to recreate what you used to be able to do. However, I won't share it in this video because this is somewhat of a part one to another video that I want to touch on with the things that Epic changed about the game, and I don't want to lead anyone to making choices that they might later regret, and I would rather be able to in another video go more in depth of why things are working the way they are right now and save you some troubles without having to spend too many resources later on. If you're someone that's capable of looking at the stats and being able to recreate a build that we used to have in the past with heroes like Ranger and Raider, then that's great and maybe it's working out for you right now. But for the entirety of the Save the World community, I wish to be here as someone that would help you and give you sound advice to make choices that would help your account rather than to go and make a decision to spend something that might cost you some resources you really don't have and could potentially be changed later down the line in the later versions of the rework. So if you came here for a definitive answer regarding if crit builds are still viable, then I will say yes, they are still viable and there is a way to recreate them, but I apologize for not giving you that way just yet because I don't want to lead anyone to making a decision that could potentially obviously be changed later down the line. So please do stay tuned into the second part of this video. I do want to cover it entirely, however the topic is a little more broad than just crit builds, and so I want to cover it all in another video. But that's about it for this one, guys. Definitely keep an eye out for that part 2 video because I want to help you all and keep the community informed. Also, if you have any thoughts about the crit builds, let me know in the comments as I'm interested to see what you all have to say. And again, I just want to thank you all so much for watching and supporting. I'll see you in the next one.